everyone. This is Jamie Marboe Nichols, and I am the host of the Heart of Dentistry Podcast, where we take the ache out and put the heart back in to our dental profession. Please join me as I interview various guests who have opinions and also solutions to what is going on in our profession and helping us put the heart back in. Hi, everyone. This is Jamie Marboe Nichols, and I am back with the Heart of Dentistry and our guest, Amber Young. And we are on part two, and we are having a serious conversation about detecting oral cancer early and how it saves life. So thanks, Amber, for joining us again for
Oh,
part
thank you for
two.
having
Long time
me.
no see,
I
right?
know.
Anyways, so we talked in the part one, we talked about your journey, how this all started and your surgery. We ended on the silver lining, I think, of the fact that you had a lot of yeses and people doing the right thing, and
Mhm.
you saying yes to that extra $20 where you could have easily have said no. And who knows where we would be at today. But so far, everything's lining up really well. Um, so where I want to go with this is your journey in how you have moved forward in awareness and your role in the universe here on your story and how we can help have more survivors and get the statistics to go in a different direction. Because what we know about oral cancer is that it's one of the cancers that the statistics are still going up.
You want to know the wild thing? So
Yeah.
on those new statistics, actually oral cancer is now a top 10 cancer and it's more prevalent in men this year. So it's in the top 10 for men and it's number 13 for women. So literally it's going to be about 54,000 people are going to be diagnosed this year with oral cancer. Um,
Wow.
That's a lot, and it's on the rise steadily every year. So, out of all of the cancers that are out there, oral cancer is the only one that's continuing to rise and not decrease in numbers, right? Like I don't want to be a chart climber in this particular chart, right?
Right,
Like
right,
nobody wants to
exactly.
be number one
We can be
here.
overachievers in other areas.
Yeah, exactly. And so the weird part about it, and you know me, Jamie, you've known me pretty much the whole entire journey. Um, it has been a wild ride.
It has. It really has. And I've sat back like many people in our profession and have just been in awe of your strength and your tenacity. We've had some very heart to heart conversations
Mhm,
around depression in
mhm,
hallways of a convention and
mhm.
just where we're at. So I I'll always remember our hallway conversation. I think it's a big part of what woke me up about my own depression and my journey that I was going through was just being able to talk to you, about what you're going
Yeah.
on with you.
Well,
But
and
what are
I'm
some
not.
other stats? Because you probably have a lot of stats. What are some other stats? So we know that it's one of the top 10 causes of cancer in men, top 13 for women now.
Mhm.
It is the one. One of the stats, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, that I've heard is that over 60% of the oral cancers found are connected to the HPV virus.
That
I've
is
heard that.
true. And I
Okay.
think that's what a lot of people misunderstand is HPV. Like I feel like it's been led as taboo, right? Like nobody wants to talk about HPV. Um, but it is the number one cause of oral cancer now. So people aren't going to fit that same demographic of being a smoker or alcoholic or elderly or any of these things because HPV is literally afflicting children. We have
Yeah,
children with
teenagers
oral cancer
too.
and teenagers with oral cancer. And HPV lies dormant. Everyone in the whole world has a part of HPV within inside of them, but
Yeah.
it can lie dormant in your system and not really appear in this form until in your 60s sometimes and 70s. So HPV and its awareness, I really feel needs to be taught differently. I do.
Hmm.
I do, right? It's not
Yeah.
just an oral sex cancer, and I think people need to understand that. It's not just, spread in
Yeah.
that way. But there's a lot of misinformation about who's supposed to talk about this. Is it the medical industry? Is it the dental industry? Do we talk about it when we ask if they want to have their shots and when they're 12 and 13 years old for the HPV? Do we talk about having safe oral sex? Where does this conversation happen? And the truth is it should happen from the beginning. It should happen everywhere because
Yeah.
it's it's prevalent, it's out there, and I think people need to take heed to that. So my cancer was not an HPV cancer, but I have lost very many. I've lost my one of my very dear friends who's 30 years old to it, because it
Yeah.
was HPV, right?
And,
So,
and I think the stigma that's so important to get out there is that we look at it at a standpoint from something the patient, the victim, I want to almost say, did wrong. That they smoked or they chewed or they, like you said, they were an alcoholic, where you didn't fit any of that. And we have, and I think the survival rate of head, neck, oral cancer is very, low. It's not one of the cancers that people survive very easily. And that's why I'm so glad 11 years later, here we are having this conversation. And you have
it,
another beautiful baby.
I do, which is even wilder that I had a baby at 40 years old. So I have a big spread in age gap with my kids. And scared the life out of me. And you know that. It literally scared the life out of me because when the information, and this is where I believe bedside manner is one of the most important things. And the way that you, as a clinician, deliver the message to a patient needs to be reworked, right? I was given it with very stern, very strict information, right? It's
Are we
95,
talking from the dental office?
just the dental office or the doctor or oncologist or whomever is delivering
Okay, so you were
information,
given a very, okay, I just wanted to
right?
make sure that everyone understood the message was very strong. Okay, go on.
It was very strong. It was very clear. There was 5 points. It's 95% aggressive, kills everybody within 5 years. There's no known survivors, chemo, radiation aren't it. And we don't think that you're going to make it past 5 years, right?
Yeah. So it
Those
felt
are
hopeless.
hopeless is a word. It felt downright damn near downhill from there, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, you're telling me I have 5 years. No other person in the history of this type of cancer has made it past 5 years. And that stuck with me like glue, and you know it. I started counting it down, 1,825 days. You celebrate 5 years of marriage. That's what you're celebrating, right? And it tore me apart. It tore me apart from the inside out, right? Because I started to cram everything in. Like, how am I going to parent my kids? What am I going to do? I'm not going to see my kids graduate. I'm not going to be there for this. I fixated on that data, right? Because I'm a data
So
person.
how do you think, knowing what you've gone through,
Hmm.
where do you, the first thing I want to say is that, and I heard this recently from a friend in my do community, they're not God. And
Hmm.
they know that. They know that there's odds, but they also they don't have sometimes a lot of bedside manner and they have to be almost as aggressive as the disease is,
Hmm.
because you had an aggressive disease. What do you think would have helped? It seems like you were going to go down that lane that the communication around this needs to be different.
Yeah, I just think that it now hindsight, right? Like maybe softer in that delivery. Like, there hasn't been much history here, or the data doesn't is not great, but it doesn't mean that you can't beat it, right?
Yeah.
Like to me it was very finite, very much like
Yeah,
there's
a little
nothing
more
after
hope
this.
in
Yeah,
it.
like there is nothing but this,
Yeah.
right? And I fixated on that, and to the point of when you brought up my youngest, her birthday was March 4th, right? March 4th, 2020, which is next week, right? My 5 year anniversary of tumor removal in my mind, right, was April 21st, 2020, right? It was a month. I was going to expire in my mind at this 1,825 days, 1 month after my baby was born, right? I was the maddest, angriest pregnant woman you'd probably ever met in your life, right? And you know that. angry.
Because
I'm
this was not planned, as you
No,
know.
it was not planned. And I was 5.5 months pregnant before I found out I was pregnant because I had gotten sick. And long story short, they gave me dexocycline and it interfered with my birth control. And I thought it was because I was detoxing off sugar or what my body had gone through, right? Nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope, no. It was not. It was an actual baby. Um,
And then you say March of 2020.
And
Talk
it was so,
about,
oh my God. Okay, so let's talk about this. So she was a planned C-section. So we had a time and a place to report, right? And she's my third child, right? So we've done this before. And we went in and we had the baby and they didn't take her off to the nursery, right? They didn't take her away. And I told my husband, I said, well, that seems a little strange. This is not taking her to the nursery. And then typically you stay for about 3 days in the hospital when you have a C-section to make sure everything's healed up. And they
yeah.
marched right in there that next morning. I had her at 7 a.m. one day. The next morning they're like, "Hey, would you like to go home?" And I was
Oh
like,
my
I was
gosh.
like, "Well, sure, but I haven't." And as TMI, I was like, "But I haven't had a bowel movement yet. I know we got to check on things." And they're like, "Yeah, no, we're gonna go ahead and let you go." And I was like, well, that's weird. And I promise you, in 8 minutes, they were back with discharge papers. They're like, here you go. Have a great day. And like, I told my husband all the way home, I was like, this is bonkers. Like something is
There's something
wrong.
wrong about this.
Something's wrong. I didn't know, Jamie, I didn't know the hospital was filling up with patients with COVID-19. Uh,
Ah,
they were filling up. They ran out of rooms. They were in the hallways, and we just went home. And the next week, by the 13th of March, they had sent my son home, who's now in kindergarten, right? Because no one's going to school anymore. And so here I am with a newborn baby, right? Zoom teaching my kindergartner how to read, right?
yeah. Oh
I,
my gosh. That's crazy.
I was ripped done, right? I
Yeah.
was like, this is not,
So,
but
oh my
you
gosh. So
know what?
let's talk about how many surgeries. Just don't, we aren't going to go into detail about it, but you had other surgeries since there. You had some more reconstructive surgery.
I
And then I
did.
want to make sure that our last 10 minutes that we're talking about, actually 5 minutes, that we are talking about your cause and how people can get help, how they can get training,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. I can help with training, but let's talk about your journey with helping others become more
Yeah.
aware and saving
Okay.
lives through the dental
So,
space.
I went down a road. I went down a lot, right? I
Yeah,
learned a lot about myself. I had to do a lot of self inflection is what I like. I had
yeah,
to go inside to emerge as something else. I got my health coaching certificate to learn how to get the proper nutrition for myself because I was dying of malnutrition because I couldn't eat properly. I got my life coaching certificate because as I was started working in dentistry, I met a lot of people who were walking these roads and needed help navigating, whether it was the caregivers, whether it was patients, whether it was all these things.
yeah. We haven't even talked about the caregivers yet,
Yeah,
but
so my first time out, I had one surgery, and then the second time I had another. I had $95,000 worth of rework in my mouth. I have all partials, veneers, crowns. Took about 3 years with my prosthodontist, right? And when I
mhm.
had my last appointment, I said, I feel like we're breaking up. I don't know what to do. I've been here every
Yeah,
month for 3 years.
yeah.
I learned a
And I
lot of
think it's all
things.
turned out well from just a visual standpoint. I think this lab, they've
Yeah,
learned more and
listen,
more and more, and
I
they've
had an amazing plastic surgeon. I had the best prosthodontist in the world, right? I could not have the stars couldn't have aligned better for anybody that was out there, right?
yeah.
Um, she understood
So
that I needed to have the function to eat and to speak
yeah.
beyond my own knowledge because when
So
I
you were
first
your
got
own advocate, and in return, you wanted to do this to also help all the other people based on what we've been talking about, just how to navigate through some of these things that none of us that we take for granted.
yeah,
And then you were a part of oral cancer cause at one point, and now you've gone even to a whole nother level. I want to spend the last few minutes. We are going to put in what the website to what you're doing. It'll be in the notes when we go to broadcast this live. But tell us a little bit about your project now because I'm loving this.
So, yes, I was with Oral Cancer Cause, and that helped me get into dentistry. And that particular nonprofit merged into the V Foundation to continue on with research. So it left me still wanting to continue my advocacy. And along the way, I've met some really great, great people, right? Like dentistry has got some of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, I agree.
And two of them came to me as my biggest cheerleaders and have been with me this whole time and said, we heard your story, and they're not clinical in any way, right? They're just some marketing people that I've known along the way. And when my story moved them so much, they're like, we have to make a change. We have to do something to educate people on the importance of having oral cancer screenings. So moved that they stayed with me all these years, pushing me and pushing me and pushing me, and said, we want to start a nonprofit. So we started a nonprofit together called Saving Face. And
Saving face.
yeah,
Okay. I
because
love
that's
the
what we're
title.
doing,
Love it.
right? We're literally saving people's
No, but yeah.
faces,
Yeah, no, no.
right?
I love it. I love it.
And at the same time, it takes a little bit of backtracking, and it kind of means that we've got to kind of take a couple steps back and really look at what needs to change inside the industry, right?
Mhm.
And patient awareness and educating the patients about the importance of having the screenings. If I hadn't been blessed with some amazing dental practitioners and office managers and prosthodontists and people who basically told me to get out of my own stupid way, right? And
Yeah,
listen to what they know, I wouldn't be able to do this today, and I wouldn't be here. This is just factual, right?
yeah.
Um, so saving face is actually was a thought gene of having a docu-series, not just a documentary, but a docu-series
Okay.
about oral cancer. Not just survivors and not just people's stories. We take this from a whole aspect. We actually talk to clinicians, billing experts, orthodontists, oral surgeons, survivors, family members, and we come together and put it all together so people understand wholly what they need to do, right? About getting the proper offer of an oral cancer screening at your dental visit and that you ask for a proper oral cancer screening, right? And feel that you're getting the proper care that you need to have. Educating on HPV, educating on what are the main factors of oral cancer right now. Also,
Yeah.
how, as a professional in the dental industry, whether it's your office, do you need to be billing this, right? How can you, is it a fee for service? Let's talk about that. Let's have a CE and educate practices on the best way to incorporate this into their practice for them.
So the docu-series brings this all together.
It
That's
does.
each segment. That's what you're, oh my gosh, it's
Mhm.
exactly what we needed. And
And
I,
the thing is how do you do that, right? Like how do you help a practice manager know how to offer an oral cancer screening or bill or charge for it if
yeah.
that's what you're going to
So
do?
who's involved in this saving life or saving face? Who's
Everybody.
but I mean, I
I,
know, but I mean, on the actual putting this all together, I saw, I mean, you do have a doctor on there that said he was put on this earth to save his father's life.
Mhm.
And he is what kind of a dentist?
Well, let's talk about this. It's actually everybody, Jamie. This
Okay.
is the trailer. We worked with people we had immediately in our wheelhouse. That's not what we're doing. Jamie, I want you to be on the docuseries.
Oh,
I
great.
want, yeah, I want
I would love to be
other
on the
oral cancer
docuseries.
survivors to be there. So these are not, this is not, I would say, sketched out, right? This is very much evolving. So as we move through this, there are so many facets that we're learning should be covered and should be taught and should be shared. Uh,
Yeah.
there are other oral survivors, oral cancer survivors, and caregivers and family members that are being interviewed. So, what we've actually asked is for people to share their stories with us. As a nonprofit, we cannot, and HIPAA prevents us from getting information direct from an office, but it doesn't stop an office from sharing our information with them,
That's the message here. Is it
right?
we need to have offices contacting you, contacting Saving Face,
Mm.
and we will have your email so they can contact you directly also in the notes. And then we'll also have the Saving Face website, so they can go to that and your website. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing your story and for being brave throughout this. And I know there's times that you don't think you were brave, but I think you're human and that's okay. But here you are carrying the torch some more, and you have some great people you've met, and that's only going to help us. Some of us are just lost on what's next. What do we do? So kudos to you and the whole team that is putting together Saving Face. And I appreciate you getting this word out and being on my podcast and being my friend and being my guest. So,
Yeah, oh no, thank you. So we are currently creating all this data and are looking for input from the whole entire industry and from survivors and from people who are on the street who just need to tell us what they need to know.
okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
So
it's very
that's it. And I'm
open.
sure that once they reach out, there's a link or there's a questionnaire, there's something that they can fill
There
out. And I'm
is.
sure that's all
Yes.
going to be explained to them when they get a hold of you or get on the website for Saving Face. So
Yeah, we have
thank,
mhm.
go ahead.
No, we just have a big initiative of having 1 million screenings done in the month of April. That's our goal.
Oh, I love that. A million
Ah.
screenings done.
In the month of
And
April. We have a practice
okay,
kit that can go
great. Well, I'm
into
going to do whatever I can
yeah.
to also get that word out there. And I'm going to have you on again.
Yeah,
Okay. Um,
anytime.
yes. Okay. I love you, hon. I appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And remember to not take shortcuts and do that visual cancer screening beyond the 2x2s. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you later. The Heart of Dentistry Podcast, where we take the ache out and put the heart back in to our dental profession.